Hey, 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 welcome, Fargo. Welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I decided I would try another intro. That's for those of you who don't know, that was my Fat Albert intro. I don't know if we'll be keeping that one. Hey, welcome to the show. It's overcast. It's been raining off and on, but you know what, guys? This past week I had a blast. As you guys know, Mr. Jackson came up with his fiancee Maya, and we had a great weekend. I played pickleball twice on Saturday. Now, for those of you guys that know me, for those of you that really know me, know that I don't run a whole lot, but my lateral movement is outstanding. So we we played pickleball, and the funny thing is, we played pickleball Saturday morning, and by the way, uh, me and Mama held serve in the morning because that's what we do. We can't. We listen as older than average people now. We have to take these wins where we could get them, and you know, Gerald and I went out and we dispatched of the youngsters, but then we went for lunch, and Maya made some unbelievable pizzas, and then after that, uh, it wasn't enough that we played. We went and played pickleball again. By the way, if you've never played pickleball, just imagine huge ping pong paddles played on a smaller tennis court, played by older than average youngsters. And I can tell you, it really is interesting because there are times when I think to myself, you know what? I still got it. I still quick. I still quick. I'm still quick. I still got these moves. And then if somebody hits a drop shot, I'm not getting to that. And the number of times that I just said, well, you know what? Hey, good point. I refuse to tear after ball anymore. I'm 61, for God's sakes. I'm, I'm trying not to stretch, crack, or break anything else for the rest of my life. But this week, this past week, what do we have on the table? Oh, that's right. We have a deal with Iran. I think it's the 40th such deal in the past month. I'm kind of in wait and see mode when it comes to this whole. There's a ceasefire on the table. Now, the fact that Pakistan had something to do with announcing it doesn't mean anything to me because the deal is the deal. When it gets done, it's done. There aren't all these other things. Like even today on the news from the G7 summit, it sounded like the dude was wow. He was not even certain about the deal, and it's like, come on. First of all, I'm still trying to figure out why this is even a thing. But you know, stranger things. I won't even say stranger things have happened. But topics for today. One, did you watch the spectacle on the nation's White House lawn? That's the first talking point. Um, I never thought that this event was actually going to happen. To tell you the truth, I did not think the UFC fight was going to happen. Once it was up and running, and I have to tell you that a friend of mine called. He goes, "Hey, are you going to watch the UFC?" I was like, "Absolutely not." I mean, I'm sorry, but it was a spectacle. And to what end? What do we spend? $60 billion on that little event? To what end, people? You know, on the one hand, we know that there's not enough money to stop the screw worm spread in Texas, but we're spending billions of dollars on UFC and a golden arch. I guess the Interior Secretary, our own Doug Burgum, is building a arch. Again, do we need? You talk about monuments to nowhere. By the way, we may touch on the city commission, the convention center. Now that it's funny. The forum certainly does get a drop on a lot of this stuff, and evidently, the convention center is a go. And I don't know. Maybe I read it wrong, but there's big news coming about the convention center in Fargo, which, tell you the truth, I care very little about, simply because we've got bigger fish to fry. I haven't heard our mayor-elect come out. I don't know when he takes office, but now that he has, I'm looking forward to hearing what he's going to do now. Now that he's elected, the hard part starts. And I don't know if mayors put together cabinets or he has an inner circle that he speaks to. I hope he has some advisors. Now, I know that he's part of the commission, but he's not. It's not. People have to understand the mayor is basically another city commission member in a lot of ways, and so he has to do a lot of reaching across the aisle if he needs to, or he has to do a lot of. He's got to be a diplomat in order to get things done or things to happen, and so I'm interested to see what happens now that we have a different city commission and it all looks different. I'm interested because, of course, taxes and everything else. We got to make sure that we're spending responsible. Now, I'd like to see them just shelve the convention thing. I know we voted to have this tax for the convention center, but I think we put a hold on it till we figure out exactly where we're going and how we're going to get there financially. I'm anxious to hear that, as well as some of the commissioners. I want to hear Chad Peterson, talk about what he would like to see. So with that, we're off and running. So I have to tell you guys, as you know, last weekend was the it was the Maple River. By the way, congratulations to all the people that won championships this weekend. It wasn't yours truly. As a matter of fact, it went so bad, folks. I shot a 96. For those that aren't golfers, if par 72, I shot 96. Now, for those of you who don't know, I fancy myself an okay golfer. Well, shooting a 96 that's not okay golf, ladies and gentlemen. That's hey, maybe you should just play for fun golf. So anyway, in my despair, I put it out there that if anybody wanted to buy my clubs, they were welcome to them. Now, this is the reason that I love golf. So yesterday, we had to play league golf in the rain, in the driving windstorms and all that. The senior match, which is 9 holes, got rained out, but I was playing okay. So come to last night between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I shot a 38. That's 2 over par for people keeping track. So I said that to say this. People say, why do you play golf? What is the allure to golf? And golf is actually a day-by-day proposition. It's a shot-by-shot proposition. It's a you have to be in every moment that you play golf. And that's what I love about it. Now, I can tell you when you're in every moment and it's excruciating like it was on Sunday, oh my gosh, it was absolutely, oh man, what was I going to do? But anyway, I made it through. I thought you guys would be interested in the goings on. But also, I want to talk about, we have the 4th of July coming up. And so it's like, I got in a real good debate with a few of my friends. A couple wanted to know, why am I celebrating the 4th of July and Independence Day? Because, as you know, Independence Day wasn't for everybody. I think at that time, during Independence Day, we were 3/5 of a person when our nation was first free and the 4th of July became a thing. And so I've never grappled. For those of you that are Call of Duty, you will know what grapple is. But anyway, I have never had a problem with celebrating the 4th of July. But a good friend of mine pointed out that we didn't necessarily celebrate Independence Day. And it was a very telling statement the way he said it. He said, oh, yes, I lit off fireworks and we had a barbecue and cousins came over and family got together and it was always a long weekend. But we weren't celebrating United States independence. and I had to and I sit and think about it. Um, when I was having the Fourth of July with my kids, and we were lighting off fireworks, even when I was younger, was I really celebrating the Fourth of July? And excuse me, was I really celebrating our nation's independence, or was it more about being with family? Was it more about the fireworks? But it was never about celebrating our nation's freedom. Now, some people could say it's our nation's birthday, but it was. It wasn't a celebration of the emancipation of the United States. It was actually a get together. You know, it was a get together. Now I'll bring it all together in this way. I know why I celebrate Christmas. Okay, I thoroughly understand that we are talking about the birth of Jesus and everything that entails. Whereas I don't celebrate the 4th of July like I celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate Easter. 4th of July is different because I'm not actually backing the independence. And that's kind of a curveball for me. So I was like, wow, I would, you know, maybe, now the second piece of that is, so then what do I celebrate in terms of talking about emancipation and freedom? Of course, that's Juneteenth. And we're going to talk about why Juneteenth is so important for a holiday for African Americans or black people or the brothers, however you want to put it. But everyone has a holiday that's uniquely theirs. Like I said before, Black History Month, I don't know, I still don't understand that. How we agreed to have 1 month to celebrate who we are 365 days of the year. But so we're going to go down the 4th of July rabbit hole. If you guys want to chime in, I want to hear what are you guys going to do for the 4th of July? What's your favorite activity? And what do you love the most about the 4th of July? Big Game James says we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the 4th of July and Juneteenth as it pertains to people like me. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000. Hey, welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. And just to check to make sure that I wasn't speaking out of the side of my neck, there is a proposal by one of the developers that that the city of Fargo would never be on the risk for this convention center. Um, hmm. Okay. I wonder where we heard that before. Remember, folks, just because they say it doesn't mean it can't happen. So, for instance, we have to look no further than how many clawbacks have we had of people that don't uphold their end of the bargain when it comes to tax incentives. So, again, my house, my golf clubs, my cart, Thorsten. Of course, it's a long-term thing where we'll have to look and see just how that. Now, the fact that they're taxing the general public, if I go stay at one of these hotels or use one of these hotels, am I not being taxed? Is that still the city of Fargo footing the bill for the convention center? Secondly, I'm not on board with where the location is for the city, for the convention center out at Bruhala. I'm sorry. Um, I think we could find a better answer than putting it out there. There's so much, to me, there's so much infrastructure. If you've ever even been over there, been to Bruhala just to hang out. And that, look, this is nothing against Bruhala, but with infrastructure, somebody's going to have to foot that bill. Secondly, as someone who's been to like conventions and stuff, like in Las Vegas and stuff like that, typically when people book someplace to hold a convention, they hold it where you also get a taste of the nightlife. Okay, even in Sioux Falls, it's where you go and you hang out when you're at a convention. It's within walking distance of other stuff. Okay, so now I don't know if you realize the distance from Bruhala to downtown, but and I guess I got to say, if I were a young businessman or I had people that I had in, being out at Bruhala doesn't make sense. And that's just me. Look, I got off track because, as you guys know, I didn't take my meds today, but that's another story for another day. So, anyway, I was talking about the fact that in our family, growing up, all the holidays were huge. None more bigger than Christmas. The second biggest one was Halloween, and then the third, I think, was Easter. But the 4th of July was basically a time to get together with family. And it was more about family than celebrating our nation's independence, But now I can tell you that on June 19th, the city of Minneapolis dang near shut down on the north side because, that's where the Juneteenth and Rondo Days celebrations took place. Now, we had other celebrations on the south side. Typically at the Sabathany Center, there was a little Juneteenth celebration or something that reminded us of our heritage. And I can tell you that going to these pro-Black events, you most definitely understood that Juneteenth was a true celebration of Black people being free in America. Now, that freedom was limited in a lot of ways, but free nonetheless. And so when you look at the two holidays, it's like, which one means more? Well, I think the 4th of July means more to people as, hey, I get that extra day off Monday or Friday, or it's a good time to go to the lakes. But looking at the concept of it, I don't even hear people say Happy Birthday, America. It's always called the 4th of July, Independence Day speeches. When is the last time you heard somebody give an Independence Day speech? But it's almost like Christmas. In a lot of ways, Christmas, some people, it's about the gifts, It's about going out shopping, which is one of the most American things ever. So, for me, I look at people that say I'm a patriot, and I really wonder what does that mean when you say you're a patriot. Now we know that we have the Patriot Front, we have wannabe patriots, but the real patriots were actual defenders of the country, the land, and the people. Okay, and not just some people. I think people need to remember that the settlers, or the people that came from England, they were all in for each other, even though there was some conflict there. The point is, they came as a group with one purpose, and that was to establish a different country, a different type of rule, a different type of living, where the people had more to say about life than the government. That was the principle. The whole thing starts off, the Constitution starts out with "we the people." Now it's "we the people," but also we need to look at who is the "we the people." But nonetheless, that's the Fourth of July celebration in a nutshell. But it's morphed into, and since I've moved to Fargo, I tell you, it's quite the spectacle with the fireworks. And we live in an area where our neighbors have firework competitions. By the way, I want to thank the Leslies. They always do a wonderful job when they do get around to lighting off their fireworks. But anyway, for a long time, it was the Jon Adams fireworks show, and we spent a half hour cleaning up the streets. Of course, I want to thank my neighbors for always being okay with having their yards littered with what do you call it, firework debris, and we tried to clean it up as best we could. But these are the things now, and so it's like, okay, as an American, are you still as proud of America as you were, let's say, even a year ago? Are we still the beacon of freedom and justice, and everybody can be whoever they want to be? There are a lot of people out there would disagree with me now when I say that we're not as shiny as we used to be. We're not quite the beacon that we used to be, and it's like, how do we get back to that? And for me, it's pretty easy. It's all about people. It is all about what we do. And I always talk about this community, and this is the rant portion. But when crime was rampant in the 70s and 80s, we had a thing called Take Back the Night for those of you that are 70s and 80s babies, and that was the one night a year where everybody would spend the evening out of the house in their neighborhood. Okay? And I always found it interesting because that Take Back the Night, which by the way morphed into block parties and stuff like that. I always found it interesting that there were people that I had never seen before out milling about. People that, by the way, when when I was a youngster, people just didn't walk all over the place just for the sake of walking. It's funny because you would go to the lake and walk around the lake, Lake Calhoun or Harriet or Nokomis. But I don't ever remember somebody just leaving their house and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go for a walk." It's I don't know. Maybe people walked around. I mean, I can remember walking with a purpose, like, oh, I got to go to football practice, I got to go here or there, or I got to go meet my friends. But people just getting out of their house. Now, if you had a dog, okay, I get it, you're taking the dog for a walk. But we morphed into a society that just, and I can't complain about it, but people just say, you know what, I'm going to go. My wife does it. I'm going to go for a walk. But it's funny because I can always remember even going to the lakes and then walking. But little doesn't matter. No, just an observation that floated through my head at the time. So anyway, I got in this debate with my friends about celebrating the 4th of July, and as opposed to actually celebrating Independence Day as it exists. as opposed to enjoying the holiday. And the best way I can sum it up, with Juneteenth being a national holiday in a lot of places, um, you get that day off. And some states choose to celebrate it. Some states don't. But you have the opportunity to find out about other people. You know, we have National Indigenous Day. Um, we have the St. Patty's Day. Let's not forget that St. Patty's Day might be one of those holidays where it's like, hey, everybody remembers when you were, when you just hit that age. You couldn't wait. I can remember drinking green beer over at the tea and whatnot, but those days are long gone. So when we look at these holidays, it's like, what exactly is important to us? Now, for me, like I said, we're going up to Brainerd and we're going to hang out with the kids and stuff like that. We might light some sparklers, but it's more about the family event than it is about the holiday. And so it's like, how do you feel about that? Now, some people say, well, if you don't celebrate the 4th of July, it's un-American not to celebrate the 4th of July. Well, is it? Hey, Big Game James says we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more about the 4th of July and upcoming events, and then we're going to wrap up with Juneteenth. Hey, welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I was just sitting here rifling through my notes, and I thought, I've been on here 3 years, and I was going to talk a little bit more about Juneteenth. I do because I need people to understand the historical significance for people that look like me. Okay, and I need you to understand this isn't to make anybody feel bad because I'm about to talk about slavery, but we all know the brutal conditions in which people toiled in the South during slavery. Okay, I mean subhuman conditions, just a sheer terror and torture. There are many books about it ad nauseum, but I need people to understand that the Great Migration North, you know, the ability. I mean, just imagine that you toiled and labored under a brutal system, and now you're free. You know, and my great grandparents migrated from the South, from Mississippi. My dad's family from Ohio. Um, this is pretty important to us. It's no different than any other day that, and I always point to Cinco de Mayo that in a lot of ways, everybody celebrates that holiday, you know, and it's important for our Hispanic brothers, Mexican brothers, just the heritage of celebrating that. St. Patrick's Day, you know, that's an award-winning holiday. I mean, people plan trips around these holidays, but for whatever reason, we don't see people have the same reaction to Juneteenth. And I can't put my finger on it because, look, I've said it before. I'm 250% American, you know? I mean, I'd put my hand over my heart for the national anthem or I cap, depending, okay? I support, good or bad, whatever we do in the United States because, this is who we are. Even in this time and space where things aren't great, yeah, I'm still American. And anywhere I go in the world, I'm going to be from the United States. And so I've owned the defensive conversations I've had when I was in Mexico. People go, how does a person like Donald Trump get elected? I mean, you have to defend your position as an American when you walk through the world, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, But when we were bringing people in and we were like the protector and defender of the globe, people loved us. In this space, not so much, but still, we're Americans, And I have friends that are like, man, you are brainwashed. America don't love you, blah, blah, blah. But to me, what is America? Okay? And I'm an optimist. So to me, Fargo represents America, The great people that I've met here, even the crappy people that I've met here, but this is us. And it's funny because I've heard so many people over this last election cycle from both sides of the aisle saying the same things. I'm tired of politics and I'm tired of politicians. I'm tired of division. I'm tired of strife. I'm tired of everything that comes with a political machine, Yet and still, not many of us are willing to trade Fargo for Minneapolis or Fargo for Sioux Falls or Fargo for Bismarck because we are uniquely Fargo. That's the United States to me. That's what I choose to celebrate. The friends that I have, the relationships that I have, the business contacts, all of these things are America to me. And so it's like when I have people tell me, oh, well, man, you're black. You shouldn't, what? Yeah, okay, I get that. But yet and still, I don't understand it because in the grand scheme of things, there aren't very many people that appreciate who we are as African Americans anyway. Okay? But I can tell you what, there are people that appreciate the African American struggle in the United States. And I have friends from Europe. I have Muslim friends that have told me that. I have friends from Italy that have told me, hey, you know what? It's pretty amazing that with everything black people have gone through, you still manage to achieve. We still manage to do great things. That's the America that I hang on to. You understand? The fact that we continue to strive and to be better. And in a lot of cases, even the United States itself, I think we're still striving to be better. I think that some of us have been derailed, and slowly we see those people coming back to what it means to be American, you know? And look, they held that opinion, all right, fine. But now you're coming back. So what do we do with that? To me, it's like, hey, we milk them back. We welcome them back into the United States collective, but we always keep one eye on them, though. I think, all right, you back, but listen, it's kind of like a probationary period now, because you stepped off the grid and you chose to put on the hat, and you had all these things to say, but in actuality, I think there's a morality within people that even that believe some of the most heinous things, I still think there's a morality that sits in the back of people's minds that says, I don't know why I'm acting like this, and I know I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to hang on to it anyway. Don't worry about it. We've all been there, especially if you've been married for any period of time. But this is what I will say. This is America. This is what we are. And guess what? Right now, we don't have many friends. We don't have many friends across the globe. We don't have the allies that we used to have, and I rant on about this, but I say that to say this. Whatever happens in the United States, let's say we're attacked. Let's say that the Canadians decide they're going to come and start a ruckus. I can guarantee you that in short order, we will have gang members sitting next to farmers, sitting next to businessmen saying, oh, no. We might be a mess, but you're not going to come in here and start anything. That's the beauty of it, and I hate to look at 9/11, but you look at the tenor of the way we behaved after that event. Now, we get to, we won't get into the conspiracy side, but the point I'm making, the thing that is unique about the United States is, according to the rest of the world, we might be violent, we might be this or that, but we own all that stuff. Good or bad, I'm amazed how we can just connect with something and then just be that. But that's America. And so at the same time, within America, as I'm saying, hey, look, we're American, you attack us, hey, I agree, we got to do what we got to do, okay? And if something jumps off, it takes nothing for us to come together and be united, because remember, it's not like pre-9/11 everything was peaches and cream. There was still a lot going on where we were divisive, and there were things that were class warfare, racial warfare, the whole 9 yards. That stuff was going on, but the minute terrorism hit our soil, all of that changed. That's what it means to be American. Now, what it means to be black in America, okay, is to understand. You can read about all the freedoms, you just won't be able to exercise all those freedoms, And people could say, man, you're full of it, blah, blah, blah. No. Let's be real. That's the way I live. That's the way I raise my kids. Hey, listen, you don't have the same opportunity to behave any old way you want out in public, okay? We just don't. And you know what? It's not that I'm okay with that, but that's the real situation that I live in, that my kids live in, that many people live in. Big Game James says we're up against the break. When I come back, we're going to talk a little more about what it means to be American as it pertains to me. And if you want to call in, phone number 701-293-9000. Mr. Rock, welcome to the show. Boom. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is Jon Adams. So I've been talking about the 4th of July celebration. And I started off, just talking about the significance of holidays and the fact that for me, the 4th of July is a family celebration. Okay, it's not like we're like, hey, yeah, we got our independence and all that. Juneteenth is more of a celebration of America, And it's funny because to me, it's like the Juneteenth is the day that America came to their senses and said, hey, yeah, you guys are really free. Now, the only reason it took so long after the slaves were declared free is that Texas was isolated, and it took a while for the Union troops to get there and announce that everyone was free. But to me, when we talk about our nation's freedom, that was the day, okay, for me. But again, like I said before, we're all American, and all you have to do is just be from America and take a trip abroad. People will let you know pretty quick when they hear you speaking, and they have a lot of questions. Particularly Canadians have a lot of questions about why do we allow. Whoa, what went wrong with my live? Anyway, Canadians have a lot of questions about it. They have a lot of questions as to why we allow the things that we do in the United States. Why as U.S. citizens do we elect the people that we do? Why do we put up with this or that? And I have to tell my Canadian friends, hey, listen, whatever we are, we're doing okay. Now, we're not doing as well as we like. We make poor decisions like everybody else, but I find myself defending even things that I don't agree with. Why? Because I'm American, And it appears that my live feed took a jump. But anyway, when it comes down to it, and the 4th of July, I want you guys to think about this. What are you really celebrating when it comes to the 4th of July? Who are you thinking about when you celebrate the 4th of July? Is it really about the United States, or is it another holiday? I know that some of my friends sing the national anthem, when they see the fireworks go off, which by the way, is not a bad thing. I mean, I have my own take on the national anthem, and it's like, there are plenty of things in this country that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the concept behind it. And I like to think more broadly in the terms of what was this guy thinking as he penned the national anthem, And it's all encompassed in the part that we sing. Now, we know that there are other stanzas that make it perfectly clear that he was scared to death about slaves joining up and fighting against the South. Matter of fact, he prayed in that song, he prayed for our downfall. But the gravity of what that means to sing that song on a world stage means, hey, listen, I accept who I am as an American, good, bad, or indifferent. This is who we are. And so to me, that's what's important. The fact that we celebrate as family, the fact that we understand who we are. We're about as dysfunctional a family as there is, but guess what? This is our family. And I've been prouder to be an American, but I'm still proud to say that I'm American. And if people don't like that, well, you know what, guys? You know where the radio station is. Come charge me up. Give me your point of view, or you could just call in. Either way, I want you guys to have a happy 4th of July. Think about where we're going. Thinking about, I heard somebody say, why can't we get back to just normal stuff? And I'm afraid that we've passed ever being back to normal, but you know what? We can get it together if we all pay attention. This has been Jon Adams for Talk of the Town, WDAY. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for always supporting. Have a great week, and as always, stay black.